Hello, this is a quick video guide for year 2s going into year 3. So it'll be a good opportunity to have a bit of a catch up and help you make the most of this time during lockdown. So we're just going to go over a few things like applying for PGCE, maybe looking at alternative routes if you're not looking at getting into teaching. We're also going to discuss potentially preparing for your dissertation, how we can support you, and a few other matters. It's obviously been a while. Good news is my hair is growing back. My wife did go for the COVID cut. It was a bit of a shocker. I also can't go in my garden still scarred from that garden marathon. If you're thinking about it, don't do it. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so if you're thinking about applying for a PGCE, this is a really good opportunity now during lockdown to start to get your CV in order. It can be quite hard just reflecting on all the things we've just been doing on our course. So it might be just an idea, take a pad out, bullet point all the relevant experience you've had with schools, think about the different projects you've had on the modules, think about any experience you've gained outside of university as well. Do you help with any coaching, do you help with guides, brownies, that sort of thing? If you haven't, we'll talk about experience in a second, but it might be a good opportunity for you to start to reach out and start to try and establish this in your final year. So applications tend to start, obviously with the pandemic and public health situation at the moment, we're still waiting on news, but usually applications start or open for October. You need to apply. Obviously being on this course, you're guaranteed an interview, you're not guaranteed a place. And one of the key and most prevalent things that comes up from PGCE staff is that a number of our students don't have a relevant amount of experience. So it's really important that if you haven't gained a lot of experience, obviously it's difficult to go into schools now, but start to think about maybe establish, we're going to be finishing towards the end of May, so maybe looking to book some, and write in your CV that you're going to look to book and establish some really good school experience within the school. So start to think about, could you go back to your school that you were taught in? Could you visit a local school? Have you reached out at all to speak to those schools and start to establish those links? That's really important. In terms of, again, making the most of your time, you can start to think about writing your personal statement. You obviously had to do that to come onto our course. Things obviously have changed a bit. Just to refresh your mind with that, it's really important that you haven't got much space to sell yourself. So really put your skills and qualities that you think you possess to be an effective teacher, and also the key information needs to come in those first few paragraphs so you stand out. There is the careers service which is available to you that you can use. They're absolutely brilliant, and obviously they specialise in helping people go on to PGCE, so get in touch with those people, and that's the careers service. And also your personal tutors as well, they can help, so it's worth reaching out to them, especially as we go into September, worth organising a meeting with them so you can discuss this. Okay, you may not be thinking about teaching, you might have been completely put off teaching, you might have gone on your placement or seen through our modules that maybe teaching in future, which is absolutely fine, and loads of our graduates actually do that. There are obviously a number of opportunities that are available to you in career routes. It's worth, if you're stuck, so I had a number of emails recently, people asking, knowing that they want to work with children potentially, or knowing that they want to work in education but they're not sure where. So use this time to try and explore some different career avenues. Steve Aichler from the entrepreneurship office Cardiff Met is absolutely brilliant. He's been helping one of our year 3s who's just graduating. Her name's Katie. She's just developed a personal training app, obviously not linked to education, but during her time over the modules on the course, she's learned that she wants to pursue a career in fitness, and Steve's definitely helped her there. So even if you just wanted to touch base with Steve, you can book a meeting with him, that's Steve Aichler. We can send all these details out to you along with this video, and Steve could just give you some guidance on potentially what routes you'd go into. Again, personal tutors are a great option for people to meet with, discuss your options. Obviously you're at home now, so there's a lot of time you can do some research yourself, and maybe even looking to offer yourself for some volunteering over the next year. Okay, a big part of year 3 is your independent project. This is going to take up a lot of your time over the final year, so it's really important that you establish a topic potentially you're interested in. I'm not saying you have to jump out of bed, punch in the air because you're doing this topical area of focus. You should have some interest in it because you're spending a lot of time with it. So take this opportunity to read really broadly around the subject. So an example would be if you're looking at technology and collaboration potentially. Well, read really widely around that subject, and you'll soon start to see that certain themes, categories are going to start to come up. The same sort of authors are going to start to come up if you're doing the right research. Read widely. I've had a few emails recently from some of my personal tutees to say that they just seem to be reading aimlessly. At this stage, no reading is going to be not worthy. Everything that you're reading is going to build your knowledge base, which is really important at this stage. When you meet with your personal tutors or your dissertation supervisors at the start of term, that's when we can narrow your focus. But it's a really good opportunity now for you to build your knowledge base in this area. So start to establish, this is really helpful, keywords. So you're going to start to see when you're looking for journals, when you're looking online, when you're looking on net search, the same keywords are coming up. So maybe if you are looking at ICT and collaboration, you might find that they're using different terms. You might find that, for example, in America, you might be calling the terms something different. So worth writing down what these key terms are, and a lot of journals now have keywords which are right at the top of the journal, so make a note of those. It can help refine your search. Again, librarians, you've got access to the librarians who are absolutely brilliant and can help you within your research, so get in touch with those. If you're struggling to find research within your specific focus, get in touch. Mark Lester is absolutely brilliant for education. He can definitely help to find some focused research for you. It's also really important to just keep a critical attitude. So you might be reading articles, although they are published, you can question them. So if you read something, it's worth just writing a note, highlighting, start to question things. It's really important. Another really, I wish I'd taken this advice when I started my PhD, is keep a record of what you're reading. Some people use spreadsheets, some people just use paper. They're really useful on when you sign in to Cardiff Met Search. You can star books, so you can keep a record of everything that you've looked at with your dissertation. That's going to help you in the long run. Be kind to your future selves, because when you start to do your bibliography and your reference list for your actual dissertation, it can take a lot of time. So this really can help. Learn from my mistakes. Keep a record of what you're reading. Even if you don't use it, you might come back to it in a few months' time. So just keep a record. Start to establish that as well. So start to think about, am I going to use Excel spreadsheets? Am I going to use Word? And it's up to you, whatever works best for you. Finally, it's worth thinking about, considering it, even at this stage, obviously we're still in a really strange time with the pandemic, to start to think about your access to your sample. So firstly, you're going to look to explore teachers' perceptions. So if so, how can you access these teachers? Have you got any links with schools? Have you got any family friends with schools? Could you potentially look at doing interviews online? Could you look at questionnaires? A great place to start. There's some really good educational research books in the library. It's worth starting to think about what methods are available to you to use. So could you use questionnaires? Could you use interviews? Could you use online interviews? Also, it's worth starting to think about your actual sample school. So a lot of the time, obviously my area of focus is ICT and technology. a lot of students will come to me and say they really want to investigate and explore how technology is used, but they haven't actually asked the school if they use technology. So they've got all these great plans. It's worth starting to think about, look on the website, look at the Twitter pages of the schools that you potentially could have a link with, and see if they're actually using, if you're looking at an intervention or if you're looking at a certain theme within schools, really important that they're actually doing that within schools, especially within ICT. It's worth starting to think about your sample. Again, we can talk about this, your dissertation supervisors can talk about this in more detail. It's just worth starting to think about these sort of things. Finally, I would say that there's, speaking to a lot of students recently, it'd be really good just to clarify, what is research? Why are we doing it? What do you actually want to find out? It's worth taking a stand back and thinking, what do you actually want to find out from this independent project? What can you contribute to this body of knowledge? A great place to start would just be starting to look at some education research books online. On MetSearch, we have a huge suite of books that are going to be relevant for this. So start to get a few books out and even to question, well, what is research? What is good research? Start to think about, well, what methods have people in my lit review used? Starting to build that now is really going to help as we enter in the start of term. A few of you have emailed me asking about any online courses that you can do just to make the most of the time. I have sent out a list, I can send this again. There's some brilliant courses that you could do to build your CV, especially if you're looking to get into teaching. So Apple run a Distinguished Educator course, which is relatively easy to complete. It's a lot of multiple choice questions. A lot of it we've covered within Aola over the 2 years. You may need to get your iPad out or iPhone just as you work alongside it, just to work out some of the questions. As I said, it's multiple choice all the way through, and by the end of it, you become what's called as an Apple Distinguished Educator, which you can use for your CV. Google do something quite similar, and so do Microsoft, so it would be absolutely brilliant, especially with DCF being so prevalent in schools, to get those awards. Obviously you don't have to, but it might be a really good use of your time. So that's Microsoft, Google and Apple all run these Distinguished Educator qualifications that you can get. Also, I know a few of you have already done this, but I know that the British Sign Language Association, they run an online course, so it might be a really good opportunity for you to gain that qualification. There are a number of online courses. A number of them are on something called MOOCs, so they're free courses. I wouldn't be paying for any courses. There are a number of really good free courses that you can do at this time, and again, they're all going to help to build to your CV. If you're stuck, obviously get in touch with myself or your personal tutors. As discussed across the modules, education is becoming increasingly part of the online space. So you could use this time to really maximise your persona in the education world online. So looking at things like Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all these things to help you when you look for employment. So this could be a perfect time to do that. So just starting with Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter account now, this might be a good time for you to get one. It's worth setting up a separate professional account, as we've discussed in some of the modules. There are some really good guides that are available online on how to use it. You don't have to, as we've discussed before, have to post what you've had for tea that day or what you're having for breakfast. You can just sit back and look to see what other people are talking about in education. There are some really good teach meets that are going on, especially during this time, which you could follow, or you could just use it to start to look how other people are using the platform and then think about how you want to use it yourself. This could be a really good showcase for your work, especially if you're applying for PGCE. A lot of CVs now are using links to their Twitter account to show what they've done over the 3 years on their course, or if they're doing anything like brownies or coaching or anything like that, just to showcase what they've done. Another brilliant platform to use now, which is used a lot, this is actually the second biggest search engine in the world, this is YouTube. So a lot of educators now have their own YouTube platform, really simple to use. all you need is a Google account. So that's your Gmail, and then in the top right of your Google account, there are the dots. On the dots there, if you press the YouTube dot, it'll take you through to YouTube. On there, then you'll be signed in. Go to your channel and you can customize your channel. And again, this can showcase all the work that you've done. So this might be a really good place, a repository, to keep all the work that you've started to make on modules such as Family, Schools and Society, AOLE 2, AOLE 1. This could be a great place to keep everything together. And again, you could attach a small QR code to your CV, which makes you stand out and look a little bit different when you're applying for work. LinkedIn is another useful platform that a number of head teachers and teachers use. Again, if you don't have one of those, I personally don't have one. I tend to do a lot of my networking and spend a lot of my time on Twitter, but I know that a number of teachers are having a presence on LinkedIn. So now could be a really good time to build your persona online. Obviously you don't need to do that, but again, it's just another idea of how you can make the most of this time doing it. In terms of preparing for year 3, really useful strategy is to look back through your feedback. As tutors on modules, we spend a long time providing you with feedback. Make sure you engage with that feedback. Start to establish what are your strengths and where do you need to improve. So for example, a really common strategy or something that students need to improve on is referencing. You'd be really, really kicking yourself on your dissertation if you are losing marks still for referencing. So looking at Cite Them Right, there are some online courses, some quick guides you can look at. So use this time to actually nail Harvard referencing. Really, really, really important. As well, start to establish potentially where you want to go with your career. So if you are looking to get into teaching, if you are looking to go into an alternative field, you could start to focus in all your assessments on that field. So it's worth starting to think about now, what do you want to do longer term? So do you want to go into teaching? Do you want to go into educational, or do you want to go into special educational needs, for example? All these things are really important, and we can help. The biggest message I want to get through this video is that we are all here to support. We appreciate that this is an unprecedented time. It's hard even for us as well. We are here as personal tutors throughout the summer. So if you need us, just get in touch, send an email. If you need help with any of the things we've mentioned in this video, please get in touch with your personal tutors. We may be on annual leave, but we will endeavour to get back to you as soon as we can. Hope you're all staying safe. I hope your COVID haircut's not as bad as mine. Stay away from that garden marathon. Looking forward to seeing you soon.